So Big D's been asking about building this style cabinet for his drawer slides, and I have some scrap plywood left over from my build, so I'm gonna go through and we're gonna build these Sys-AZ cabinets.
Alright, so I need some help. I need you to show me how to make one of these cabinets from my shop, and then I'm gonna make the rest of them.
Okay, cool. Well, we know how to rip. Okay, we get some leftover 400mm rips. We need to cross cut them.
Okay.
Okay, we have videos on SedgeTool how to do both of those, but we're gonna go through a few more tips and tricks as we go through this. And it's a simple process. You gotta rip, you gotta cross cut accurately, you gotta edge band. Oh, we have a video on that on SedgeTool. We'll provide links in the description. We know how to trim it, but we'll go through quickly with the MFK. Then we're gonna go through the LR32, because when you're working with the Sys-AZ drawers, and I see you got 5 of them, so you got the deal. They're sold in packs of 5, I believe. So when we go over the LR32 and punching it, where there's very particular measurements for this drawer bank that we'll go over, particularly the width and this bottom starting hole. And you'll see all the measurements I've done for this, and you can customize all these cabinets you build for all your different sustainers.
It's awesome.
This is not like our simple cabinet build video where we did a back. We just do unit. Come in here and check this out. We do 2 spanners. These are shop cabinets. Okay, I wanted the airflow too, because the double doors closed up in the SedgeTool shop. Okay, so I told you there were 2 critical measurements, because we're now going to start cross cutting. We ripped our plywood we had left over, 400mm wide. Okay, so why did we go with 400mm? Come in here, Chris, so we can see this. You see this schematic right here that's provided with your Sys-AZ drawers? You need greater than 380. You'll understand that because of these slides. And if you notice on these slides for the Sys-AZ drawer, I still have room, and the reason I went 400, you need 380, okay, or greater than 380, but we're gonna put that spanner in there, which is 18mm. So 400 was easy for our width. That's why we ripped 400. Now once again, we're going to cross cutting, okay? Come in here, Chris, so we can see this. It's critical, the top and bottom, which we're pinning between the schematics a little off. You never build where you put the top and bottom on top of the sides. You always put them in between, like I taught you, for shear strength. Okay, so that's 427. That's non-negotiable. So our tops and bottoms are 427. Now, how did I come up with the height of this? Well, it's what I'm used to. You know the old steel cabinets from Festool? We had those on the other side of the SedgeTool shop early on. They were kind of old, dented. So those were 1,000mm tall. So let's get our fast caps. We want to do balanced panels.
Okay.
Hey, that's cool. He's got a SedgeTool sticker on there. Okay, so let's look at 1,000 here. Chris, come on in so we can see this. There's 1,000. You know what? Let's go. See that little dot right there? That's an increment divisible by what?
32.
Okay, so right there, that's 1,024. So that's how I picked it, because I do the double stack in here, and it's absolutely perfect. It worked out perfect for me, and I'm used to the spacing here, and that is just what I'll go over later in the video with you.
Sounds good.
All right, Big D, good job setting up the MFT3, but now we're gonna check to see if this is square here.
Okay.
Now, I just got this TSO MTR18 triangle, and I noticed it was tapped in here. This is perfectly 90. If I didn't put these pins in, and you see where they're tapped, if I didn't put those in, it would slip underneath the rail. But what's really nice is I could take it like this, bring it right on in, and what I'm going to do is, we've done this before, I'm going to check it with post-it notes just to make sure it's perfectly square. And now I'm going to adjust it now, because that's just a hair loose. Okay, so before we go and make our measurements, we gotta make sure that I can trust that mark right there.
Right.
Because this came off some scrap and I don't know how square that was. So what we always do is we'll always check this, or we can re-square it, but that's dead on square. So take that. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it around and measure. And what was that measurement?
1024.
Okay, 1024.
It was one of those.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so we have that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here and make my mark right here. Okay, I like to do a point like that. I know that's exactly where I'm gonna be. Okay, so let's make our cut. Okay, so the pin is in. We have it level to our plywood. I'm gonna bring my splinter guard right over here to 1024 mark. Go ahead and set that. I always do this. I always check in here too to make sure there's no dust.
Okay.
Bring it right in there and tighten it. And make sure you tighten it.
Or tight.
Okay, good. Let's make our cut. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is get this out of the way. And what I did earlier, and every time I've set this up, I have that. I'm just gonna label it 1024, right? Mm-hmm. These are our two sides. Okay, you'll understand these in a little while. These are our end stops for our LR32 system. We cut a balanced panel. So when we get to that part of the process, which I think we've done several videos on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what'll happen is this needs to fall right in place, and it does. Okay, so I'm gonna have you cut the other one. Now I'm gonna see if I could turn this over so Chris can get that. And you see how those stops, there's no play in there? That way there, when we set this up, it doesn't matter how we reference top or bottom because it's exactly an increment of 32 millimeter.
Beauty. All right, Sedge, what's next?
Well, think about it. We ripped, okay, which we already had pre-ripped material. We just cross-cutted. Good job, Big D, cross-cutting it. So think about it. What are we gonna do?
Edge banding.
Yeah, baby. All right, Big D, it's time to edge band. You are correct. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use the Contoro. It's just a really quick way of putting on banding. You can band with iron on or peel and stick, okay? But I'm just gonna set this up. I got 20 millimeter banding here. It's always one click away. See this button? We call it the go button. I'll do the first one. See how it grabbed it?
Yep.
And today we're using 1 millimeter maple banding. And it's that simple. Let the machine do the driving. Okay, and what's happening is the feed roller is actually burnishing or pressing in there, so it's a perfect squeeze out. Always when you do the next one, you come off in the same line. So it's time to trim the banding. We guillotined it here. Now we're gonna trim it, and I just set up the MFK. Yes, there's a video in the links below that will show you how to set this up completely. And you know what? You always test with a fingernail, and that's perfectly flush. You know, Big D, I think my panel's better than yours.
I can't imagine why. Hey, Sedge, what you got next?
Okay, check it out. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna go over the layout again.
Okay.
For the schematic right here, so we totally understand it. It's this piece right here of this puzzle. It is really easy if you understand from the front edge, it's 58 millimeters. Okay, this is where our first row of holes is gonna go.
Okay.
And in between on center, is 224.
Gotcha.
Okay, so as much as you can lay out to understand when you're building this, it's good to have a good visual so you understand these increments of measurement. So remember, we cut this at 400.
Yes, sir.
So 118 from the back edge if we capture that 224. But on our LR32 stops, it only goes, the parallels only go to 110. So I'm going to show you a tip and trick on how to capture that holes in the middle.
Okay.
There's the first one. Now, the other thing to remember is right here. Okay, from the bottom of the cabinet, it's got to be greater than 8 millimeters. So the first hole, and you'll see when I set the end stops, I use the 32 millimeter increment that's embossed on there, up and out. And I did the math. Look, this is my bottom. It's captured, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's 18 millimeter. That first hole has to be at least 8 millimeter if you use this, which is the catch at the bottom. Okay, so if we do some math on this, hopefully I'm not stumbling through this too much.
You're doing good.
Okay, so 32 is this line right here. So subtract 18 from 32, you get 14. So we get plenty of leeway.
Perfect.
Okay, so that first hole will be right there, and then we'll punch them all the way up, and this is the top of our cabinet. Hopefully I've covered everything. Some people don't use this, but I'll go toward the end of the video. I'll show you how I space and some of the things to consider when putting your sustainers in the drawer systems.
Okay.
Or the Sys-AZs. Let's get punching.
Punch it, baby.
So what I meant earlier was I set this stop. You see where it says 32? It's up and out, right? So you'll see the stop, the end stop is halfway in between. That's our first hole. So I'll mark that really quick, just like this. Okay, and we're going to do every hole to the end. I'll show you in a minute. Over here, Chris, capture this. It says 58. That brings us from the front edge to that first alignment hole.
Okay.
Go like this, lock it in, and I'm going to move this up. Okay, so if you really think about this, we're only doing one cabinet, but we're going to do all the 58s from the front. We locked it down and everything. But remember the layout we did earlier? Okay, so think about having 10 of these cabinets, which you're probably going to build, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You only have to set it up once, and I think this is the thing that people miss when we look at the Festool LR32 system. It may seem cumbersome in the beginning, but look, we can punch all of these front holes now for all 20 sides. But here's the thing I always do, or when I always did when I was learning this system a few years ago, is you see, I always check. See how I made that line earlier? But look, right in the center is that 32 millimeter mark that we had laid out.
Nice.
So we're all ready to get punching. We're going to be using the coarse screws that are provided with the Sys-AZ drawers. They're 5 millimeters at the root. Okay, so if we look at this little window call out, we're going to set it at 13 millimeters of depth. Chris, come in here and you can see where that punched exactly on the center line. 58 millimeters to the center. So this is what I was talking about earlier. We're going to come from this edge now to hit this line at 118, okay, which is the distance that we need from the front hole to the second hole of the drawer slide.
Okay.
It needs to be 224. So the math will tell us that I can't do it because when I put these on like normal, I only have 110. Oh, okay. So I'll show you how to set it up. Okay, so what we want to do is I have that center line, right, laid out. So I'll take the point of this route 5 millimeter bit, okay, and I'll bring it right down here, and then I'll take this. See how I have it on the back edge? I'll lock it in, and you got to do a little trial by error, okay, and then I'll come down here. Let me unlock this and bring this over here. And I'll come down and grab the center line down here, and I gotta move this over just a skosh, and then I'll lock it in. I'll take this, bring it over, and then I'll come back, unlock this, and I'll do another test to make sure I didn't shift it too much, and it's absolutely perfect. Beautiful. So these are now locked in exactly where I need them. Let's lock these down and get punching.
All right, let's do it.
I know we're only doing 2 sides, but a quick verification. This is our front.
Yes, sir.
You grab the drawer slide off the Sys-AZ. Those are the 2 holes that we'll utilize, okay, for those 5mm screws. So I just do a quick verification. This is my front. I check that hole, 5mm hole, and I come right down here, and it lines right up with the other hole.
Beautiful.
All right, Big D, we're almost there.
All right.
What we got to do is, hey, what did we do? We ripped, cross-cut.
Yep.
Okay. We did the edge banding.
Yep.
Okay, we trimmed it.
Yep.
Okay. Then we punched all our system holes.
Yep.
Now we got to do our
Joinery.
Okay, so this is your bottom or top, whatever you want to call it. We'll have another one up here, and you remember how we did all the layout here?
Yep.
We're going to mark our board so when we start punching all of this, we don't have to think about it with the domino.
Yes, sir.
We're going to put a domino here and here. Okay, you've seen us do this before, and we're going to probably put 3 screws in each joint. Okay, no one's ever going to see them.
Nope.
And in another video, we showed you how to finish the end panel. Okay, so that's how it's going to go. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to have you move that down. Okay. Just like this, and we're gonna make a quick mark right here. And I label everything
yes,
just to make sure that when we go into the process, we're not flipping it around. This has been one of the biggest things I have taught people with the domino, is make a reference point. And you'll see it right here and right here, because that is where the plate of the domino is going to rest when you're plunging. So if you think about it, I'll write a big H right here, because my plate of my domino is going to be right there. Okay, and then the other one, it's going to be right here. I know I'm going to plunge vertically here. And over there, we're going to do one, we can use the flap 37 from the front, that'll be tight. And we're going to come here with the edge of the machine, and we'll make the back one loose. So when we look at it, this is how it's going to come out, where this is tight and this is loose. And the nice thing about going tight from the front where the banding is, it makes assembly so much easier, and it references the edge banding on the front of the cabinet. Absolutely perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so this is what I want to show you that I mentioned previously. The first, which is the front mortise, is going to be tight from the flap. That puts you at 37mm. All right. When I do the back edge, see, this is the back. Okay. I'm going to put it in the loose setting when the machine's running, but I'm going to reference the edge of the machine. See that? The plate and the edge right there. Okay. Okay, Big D, I can't teach this enough to you. Label.
Yes,
because
sir.
if you think about it, you're gonna make probably another 10 cabinets of these, right? That's 20 sides. You're not gonna have all this marked out, just maybe 1 or 2, right? Mm-hmm. So this is why you look right here, vertical. Always know, and here's another reference point that I've done in the past, because sometimes I miss, that's the edge banding. Mm-hmm. Okay, because we're going to go 37 from the front, and we'll do the side from here over. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, good job, Big D. Always remember, that's your tight and tight. That's your front and front. You have your loose and loose here. I'm going to have you assemble this. Always put it in the tight one first.
Okay.
Just like that, good. And you know that's your outside. Okay, so let's look at it. Perfectly aligned.
Good, nice.
Okay, it's not gonna shift now. And Chris, get in here so we can see this. Look how perfect and flush that is, because we reference the outside and we referenced our mark here as well.
Boom.
Okay, Big D, let's get the other side on. And remember, you're gonna fit that tight one first, and we'll tilt it on just like this. And we'll check our fit from that front edge. You got it?
Almost. Yep. There we go.
Okay, how's that? Front edge is perfect.
Feels good.
Always got to make sure too if it gets really tight. Okay, and that came out really nice. It's flush. Okay, don't pound too much because we plunged 15 here and 15 here. This is 18 millimeters, so you only have 3 millimeters.
Okay.
And I've seen sometimes people go like this and it pops through.
What's next, Sedge?
Okay, before we cut our spanners, okay, this plywood's a little wonky. That means it's cut square, but a little warpage. So we're gonna put some screws in here.
Okay.
So we can take an exact measurement for our spanners that'll be in the back, and we'll do 2 of them.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll screw those in.
Beautiful.
But there's a lot of times if you do something long enough, you just don't have to do layout, but I'll suggest this for you.
Okay.
What is half of 18?
9.
Okay, you know why? Because we wrote it right there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a center line here so we know how to lay out the screws or where the screws are in. Okay, so I'm just gonna take that and I'm just gonna lay out my center line for my screws. Okay, we got pretty much a domino here and we got one here. Okay, so what we could do is take a countersink and countersink 3. But I like using these quick screws. I'm using an 1.5" quick screw. It's a self-tapper, okay? And if we look at the little nibs on the bottom, it's a non-mushrooming. I like to use Torx. I've switched everything in the SedgeTool shop pretty much to Torx. It's a number 15. So I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna bring it right to the front edge. And you see how that taps in? I'm gonna make sure I'm aligned. I'm just gonna drop, just like that. I don't have to countersink.
Wow.
But some people still do, so, and it's cool. So this is the back of the cabinet, and we're gonna get some spanners between here and here, okay? That'll shore it up, it'll make it more rigid. Spanners can be anywhere between 3 and 4 inch. So I'll just measure this. Yeah, we're about 4 inch or 100 millimeter. Those are my toe kick material. We're gonna square one end, and I know the measurement because it's the width of our bottoms and tops. You remember what that was? Yeah, you say 27.
27. There we go. Oh, it's my birthday.
But we're gonna do a test fit on that.
Perfect.
Okay, Big D, let's do a test fit here.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna bring it in. Ooh, that's really snug, but I was putting it in at an angle. That's exactly how snug I want. And I will show you a piece where this is why I always do it at the end after it's screwed in, because you can see there's a little bit of play.
Gotcha.
That would kind of bow it in a little. So make it nice and snug.
Nice and snug.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just put a couple of screws right here.
All right.
All right. I always get a kick out of this, Big D. When people need to remove these slides, they're so easy. You just move it out like this. You see this little tab?
Yep.
You depress it and it slides right off. Okay, so come in here, Chris. Big D, check this out. You remove the slides. Now we're gonna set our first. I always start from the bottom.
Okay.
We want them to be locking, so we're gonna set this first. It comes with 5 screws, 2 each for the slides. It comes with this drawer. And right here, and this is where, hopefully I can show you this, this will actually set in here like this. So when we pull this out, it locks in, and right here is how you release it.
Oh.
So what we'll do is we'll set this first.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of considerations. Chris, what kind of screw is that?
I'm zooming in.
Posi drive, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're just gonna take it like this and set it right in here to this first screw. It's that easy. Okay, good. Okay, so here's the first hole. Okay, we're gonna take this little part here and bring it right into the locking system, and that should line up just like that. So I always kind of tilt it up like this and bring it in and set it. So it just went in, and look and see how that hole just lined up. Chris, get in here so we can see that.
Yep.
So I will take it just like this and get that first one in. Next one lines right up. So I pull this out like this, and you'll see it line right up with that back hole. There it is. Good. So I set up the access hole here. It's not the bottom one. You got to remember, the bottom one was used for the locking mechanism. So we're gonna start it right there. I'm just gonna take it like this and get it in that hole like that, and get it right in there like this. There we go, and you'll see how that lines up with that hole right there. Okay, so let's put the tray in.
Okay.
Yes, it is the moment of truth. I've seen people bring these all the way out. You don't have to. I just bring it like this, and I want to get it right in that channel and that channel there. You should slide it and watch. And there you go. There's your first one.
Hey!
Cool. So Big D, what you're going to do is when you get back and you start putting in the other drawers, okay, there's a few considerations.
Okay.
I mean, I have a lot of T-locks in here. Remember, as Festool changes the Systainers, okay, whether it's a classic or like this is a T-lock, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is Systainer 4. And now the new generation 3 have changed ever so slightly. The only one that's the same is the Systainer 1 at 112 millimeter. So when we look at this, and I put this in, dimensions will allow me to get in and out. I can take this out and take whatever I have in there and put it back in. Now, here's some of the considerations. I wouldn't access this hole with one of those little black latches. I would go to the next one.
Okay.
Okay, yes, you're gonna lose a little bit of space, but big deal. This will be infinitely adjustable.
Perfect.
Okay, so if I take that Systainer 4 out, let's just try a Systainer 2. Okay. Okay, so here I would start that black latch and my next slide would be there.
Perfect.
And you can see some of the spacing. So one of the sortainers that I like to use, and I've been using a lot lately, is the 3-drawer sortainer. Okay, and look, I label everything. Like right here are all my quick screws. Okay, I have a second set of squares here where if I need these, I can just remove it like this and grab what I need, slide it right back in. So if we look at the Sys Wall back here in a minute, I've stacked 2 of these together. Okay, but when we put something like this in the tray, okay, it's hard to get at that bottom one.
Oh.
So what I do is I make a 3/4 spacer, put it in the bottom of the tray, and then I can space them, and it actually works out perfect. Like I'll stack another one, and then my little black tab will go there, and my drawer slide there. So I wanted to get to the point, it's infinitely adjustable. You just have to play with it a little.
Yeah.
But now you have that adjustability with the 32 millimeter spacing. Perfect. And it works out. Let's go over here. Okay, so with the 3-drawer sortainers, just to continue a little bit, I got the 3/4 spacer in here.
Yep.
Okay, this works out perfect if I take the little latch right here and put it, and then my slide here, and you'll see that on the wall over here. It's a tight fit, but it works great in case I was going up with it. Right here, you'll see where I have another 3-drawer sortainer here. Eventually, I will add another Sys-AZ drawer up here for my 2 Systainer 1s. But right now, if I need to access something, I can just take it out like this. I can't see. I have a little step stool I made, or I can just take it out because I have everything labeled and I know it's in that drawer. So I'm constantly tweaking this system, but once again, I can adjust it, and you'll see there's a little bit of space in here, but big deal, I have perfect organization in the Sys Wall. Okay, so another benefit, or it just happened to work out. I'm constantly checking nuts and bolts. I got calipers everywhere. They slide right there. I have that fits underneath. But this just happened the other day. I was thinking, I had a piece of plywood, okay, and that's about 3/4 I was working and checking out all my bits and tips in here, and I had nowhere to set my drill. So what I was doing, I was pulling this out, but now I just pull this out, and it's a perfect place for my drill while I get my bits and pieces.
Nice.
So I'm gonna try to make a little slide for this somehow, and I'm just always tweaking this. The Sys-AZ drawer system really works out in the 32mm system. Big D, I think you're on your way. You'll take that home with you, get you a good way to get started. We're working on plans for this cabinet. I know it's a box, but people have asked us for plans, so stay tuned. We'll announce it on Instagram when they're ready. I don't know how far out we are on that, but all the measurements are right there in this video. So as we always say, from the SedgeTool shop,
be positive
and stay sharp. Wicked sharp.
Hey, I like that.